But let's talk about the state broadcaster, shall we? Because the BBC has been front and centre of the news pages and the news programmes, basically, for the best part of the last 3 days. The Sun first broke the story on Saturday that a senior presenter at the BBC had been involved in paying money to an individual who, at the beginning of the relationship, for what you might be mistaken for calling it, was only 17 years of age. That individual was paid, basically, to send a series of what might be described as sordid sex pictures to that presenter, and as much as £35,000 has been paid by the presenter, who has still not been named by the BBC or anybody else, apart from on social media, of course, and has continued to work at the BBC. The way the situation worked was the mother of the person concerned sent a letter to the BBC complaining about the behaviour of this presenter, and nothing happened. This was about 7 to 8 weeks ago. And not only did the BBC not even bother to get in touch with the woman, the mother of the individual, but it then turned out that the BBC did not even suspend the presenter in question, right? So she got fed up. Now, the BBC's excuse is that basically they weren't able to get a hold of her. They say that they tried and they couldn't. I'm not sure I believe that. But certainly the individual was still working as recently as last week. And it was only on Sunday, yesterday, that the BBC decided to suspend the individual. So the person now is off work. Now, that's going to mean that an awful lot of people will speculate that whoever is now off work at the BBC is possibly the suspect in question. But already, the BBC has got himself into trouble with the likes of Gary Lineker, Jeremy Vine, Ryan and Clark, a whole series of other presenters, because they've all had to say, because they haven't been seen on TV for a while, that they are not the person in question. They've all had to put out tweets on social media to say, it's not me, Gov. I didn't do it. It's an extraordinary state of affairs. The BBC has completely failed in its duty of care, not only to the mother of the individual concerned who's been sending the pictures in, and not only to the person who has been the subject of this money that's been sent in order for those pictures to be taken. I mean, it's an incredible situation. And of course, all over social media is a name that an awful lot of people think is the name, which has still not been made official. At the moment, the stars at the BBC are all up in arms. The police are now involved as well. And it surely seems to me to be now time to consider, even more than ever, the fact that the BBC has got a history of this. Remember going back to Jimmy Saville, going back to Frank Bough, going back to Martin Bashir, going back to Cliff Richard, all of the situations that we've been talking about this morning, every single time they have got it completely and utterly wrong. And that is unforgivable. How many more times are we going to have to put up with the BBC being useless, getting it wrong, being secretive? You know, this is our money. The £35,000 that was paid to this individual to send sex pictures, to portray themselves doing things, you know, that's our money. So effectively we're paying a BBC employee to pay somebody for dirty pictures. Isn't that great? Brilliant. Well, surely now is the time to say, I'll tell you what, you're not going to get any more money from us. We're not going to give you any. In fact, the licence fee is going to be pulled now, because you cannot have a situation where public money, which is our money, taxpayers' money, licence payers' money, is being spent on sordid sexual proclivities that some people inside of the BBC must have or seem to have. It's not good enough, is it? I don't think so.